guys, I've had loads of questions about what I have on my pond, what's connected, how it's connected, and what I have and where. So what I'm going to do is just give you a little bit of a run around the pond today, and also I should be doing a filter clean as well with the new K1 Micro in there to see how that cleans up. Right, the first thing I have on my pond I'll show you is my skimmer. It's a homemade skimmer, I made it myself, and it does work quite well actually. So I don't know whether you can see it, but it's over in the far corner there. It's an old filter box. One of the big things about a skimmer is where you place it in your pond. If you look at mine, it is totally the opposite end of where the water actually comes into the pond. So the water returns back from the filters down my waterfall, and the water circulation in the pond takes the water down and towards the skimmer the other end. Now the skimmer has a little pump on it, a little pond pump, nothing big, just enough to move the water, which is sent up to the small waterfall, and all that water there is what's been through the skimmer, coming back down that little waterfall and back into the pond. And it is also pushing the water towards the skimmer. So all the surface water is pushed that way basically. Okay, from the top view there's my skimmer. It does have a stone on the top which I shall remove, and we'll take the lid off so that I can show you inside. Okay, there's the top off the skimmer. As you can see, I've used a little old pond net. The water actually comes in through the front of the skimmer and instantly into the net. Now if I remove this net, if I can take this net out, you will see there's the net. I do have a couple of stones in the bottom actually to keep the net down, to stop it floating. But there's the skimmer, you can see the water flowing into it, and the pump at the other end. There is a sponge actually separating the two, and then the pump. That's just to keep everything away from the pump, so the pump in there can pump the water around without getting blocked. Now in the summer I do have to empty this at least once every other day. It's just a matter of taking the net out. As you can see, I'll put it back. It's just a matter of taking the net out, tipping it out and putting it back in. The net just slots in there nicely, and that's my skimmer. And that just works away all day, and it does keep the pond nice and clear on top. Catches all the leaves, all the floating debris, caught in the net, and all I do is take it out and empty it. I do take the sponge out and squeeze that out about once a week in the summer. Obviously in the winter we don't do so much, but there is actually a little sponge there that divides it. But basically that's my skimmer. Now then, with a skimmer like that one, you do have to keep your water level pretty stable. Obviously there's no sort of gate on the front, floating gate, so the water level does have to be kept reasonably level, and how I do that is with this, and I have shown it before actually, but it's another old box filter. You usually find plenty of these kicking about. People buy them and then they find out they're not brilliant things, so they get rid of them, and I'll whip the lid off this just to show you what's in there. There we have it. It's just an ordinary filter box. I do have like a new type of ball cock in there, what you'd find in a normal cistern, and when the water level drops that automatically tops it up. It's quite good actually, because it tops your water level in bits and pieces instead of doing one massive 2 or 3 inch top up. That adds it as it sort of drops, so you get a nice flow of new water into the pond only when it needs it, and you don't have to worry about topping the pond up anymore. It does it automatically. We have had a bit of trouble with a heron in the area. Not so far away, it's just cleared a pond completely, so I bought myself one of these. It's a crow scarer. I got it off eBay, and they seem to work pretty well. If anything gets near the pond, even the cat, it's got like a sprinkler on the top and it squirts water across the pond, and it seems to work very well. There you see my entire filter system. What I will do is show you in the little box on the right hand side, the little green box with the black top. That's where I keep all my air pump, UV light and that sort of thing. So let's have a look in there and I'll show you what's in there, and then we'll get on to cleaning the filters. You just lift the lid here Okay, well they're the electrics, they sort of speak for themselves. So the main line from the pump comes in this pipe here to a check valve, and that is a one-way valve, non-return valve, and then it flows along and you'll see it comes down here, along here, and into this Y connection with the two taps on it, so I can control it if I wish. Now this side goes straight back out into the filter, but this side comes round across, as you can see, and into my UV light. It then flows through the UV, back out this end, and then to the filter. So that's the course the water takes from the pump, and obviously I've shown you before my Air 2000 air pumps on the end there. It pumps about 33 litres a minute of air, running an air stone on the pond and also the moving media tub. Everything else is just timers and light switches and that sort of thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, clean the filters out and clean it out with this new micro. See how the cleaning procedure goes with that. So let's get stuck in, turn the pond pump off and start to clean. Okay, so the pond pump's off, the levels will now start to drop in each tub. As you can see, that's the K1 going down. Now the micro will start to go down as before, just the same. So as soon as the water level's down, I'll strike up the air and we'll start to clean it out. Right, the water's stopped flowing from tub to tub, so I shall now switch on the air and we'll start to clean the media. Once it gets working, there it goes. We'll clean that media off, just knock everything down, make sure it all gets clean. Any sticking to the sides, knock into the tub. What I do sometimes when doing this, not always, but sometimes, I take a brush, just a normal brush, and I go into the tub and down to the bottom very gently and just move it about on the bottom, just in case there's any dirt stuck to the bottom, so that I get it all, so that I give that a good stir as well, being careful not to knock anything off down the bottom. So stir the bottoms as well, just in case there's any mud on the bottom of the filter. Like so. And you can even give your media a good old swishing up and down if you wish, just to help clean it. Just be careful you don't knock anything off. Give it a good turn over and a brush round. This all helps. There we go. Okay, so guys, I'll give that a couple of minutes and be back. As you can see, I've run my waste across into the garden, so that the waste goes, I should use the waste water on the garden, don't waste any of that. Okay, we'll open up the valve, I can do it one-handed, and start to let that water go. And it should come out that end. Don't know whether you can see that flowing onto the garden. Right, I'm just going to go and spread that around a little bit. Be back in a minute. Okay guys, there we have it. All the water's drained down. Nice and clean media on the bottom. That's the K1 all done. So now we're going to move over and see how this new micro goes. Switch the air on in this tub. See how the micro goes. Clean around the edges, around the sides. As you can see, it knits a little bit more than the K1, so I would think it does actually need the brush. So I'm going to put the brush in and give this a good stir up. I hope you can see this. I'm holding it with one hand and trying to do the brush with the other. which isn't easy, but give it a good sloshing round, clean all the media, all the dirt circulating. Right, that should do it. Just get the micro out my brush. Okay, that's circulating nicely. Give it a minute, I'll be back in a second. Okay, that's nicely stirred up, so we'll let that go. Let that drain down. Oh, sorry about that. That's better. Okay, so we'll let that go. That's draining down nicely. Still cleaning the media, still got the air running. Right guys, there we have it. Water's all drained away and the micro's all down the bottom there. All nice and clean again. It's still white as opposed to the K1 that have had a while. You can actually see the difference there in the two colours. K1 is really mature and the micro is still quite new, but it has reached negative buoyancy, so floating well at the moment and should start to do its job as soon as the water warms up. So I'll now put the pump back on, pump switch back on. The medium now start to rise in the tub as it is doing. Water level's coming up nicely. Okay, the water's now reaching the top of the two centre filter cages, the two heads in the centre there. That will start then to put some water through into the next tub, into the micromedia tub. It will start to fill that. As you can hear, the water is now flowing through into the next tub, and it will start to put the water, start to fill this tub in the micromedia tub as it is doing. You can see it coming up now. I don't know whether you have noticed, but since I've had the twin heads in this tub, the water level is about 2 inches lower now in this tub than it always has been with a single head. So like I say, well worth fitting these twin filter cages in all tubs, I think. Well, apart from the last one, the moving media, being as it's moving all the time, doesn't really require it. In the last tub there, one head's quite sufficient for that. But now we'll see the water rising, the micromedia now coming up, and the water will soon be returning to the pond. Yeah, as I say, these twin heads are really worth fitting, especially on the micromedia. I think you'll find you will need them if you do use it. That's the micromedia tub full, and that will now start to fill the moving media bed, and then it will start to return back to the pond. And that's the cleaning finished. As you can see now, the water is starting to flow down the waterfall, and that's the job done. So guys, there we have it, all done, all good for another week or so. I must apologise about the commentary, I'm not the best commentator in the world. So, as ever, thanks for watching, happy ponding.